For what you get for the money, I think it's good. It's not great, but it's good. They started their journey to become what they are today, a cult company.
Yes.
Yeah.
In that term, it's possible to have a return on investment at least the same that you have made. And I will give only 5.
That's a bit hard, but all right.
Today we are reviewing and scoring 2 diver watches from marca brands, Unimatic Modello Uno U1S-PD5 and Doxa Sub 300T. Unimatic Modello Uno, it has 40mm case, lug-to-lug measure is 49mm and height is 12mm. Doxa Sub 300T, case diameter is 42.5mm, lug-to-lug measurement 44.5 and height is 13.65mm. So we start with Unimatic Modello Uno U1S-PD5. It is a limited edition of 500 pieces and it has a very interesting color, which is gray charcoal with printed indexes, which are very, very visible. What is new for this model is that it has bezel with ceramic inlay and indexes that are with lume as well. If we talk about the case, it's fully brushed, as always Unimatic watches have. And this is something that gives this very utilitarian look. In this case, it's pretty the same type of case that Unimatic uses. The same with the strap. It comes with 2 straps, NATO and this plastic strap, which is nice color, but it's not that smooth as silicone or rubber strap, so it's a bit stiff on your wrist. It's a cool watch. It's not an ordinary diver. The case back is closed, as always in Unimatic. You do not see the movement. So Doxa Sub 300T.
I have the Divingstar with the yellow dial. Is, I would say, matte.
And I have a silver Searambler dial. And mine is Sunray.
The bezel is both brushed and polished. And the back case is closed and is mainly polished. It has a combination of polished and brushed areas, but comparing it to the Unimatic, it's much more visible because it has a lot of polished parts. So it will be reflected more on the wrist.
And for sure, you have much more visibility with the hands, especially the minute hand is much larger than our hand.
For me, the main thing about Doxa Sub 300T, but also other Doxa watches, is the lugs are pretty big in comparison to the dial.
It's so different from all other diver watches that has this round bezel and round case. It really stands out, and it's different from all the other divers. The thing that the dial is so small makes you feel that it's a smaller watch, which it is not. So it's impression of the smaller watch, but on the wrist you feel it as a much bigger one.
We have both beads of rice.
Yes, and it also comes with a selection of rubber straps, very high quality, nice straps.
The beads of rice is...
It feels very robust. It's really solid bracelet.
It's a toolish watch in the design, even though it's timeless. It has this vintage feel in the design.
So we will start with scoring Unimatic, and I will give to Unimatic 6. And you?
So I will actually give Unimatic, I give it a 6 also.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Doxa, I will give 5.
I give Doxa a 7, which I think is well deserved.
Unimatic has a very solid movement, which is Selita SW200, which is a very, very popular movement.
Yeah, very common.
Power reserve is 38 hours. The Doxa movement, it has ETA 2824-2, which is the most common and the most popular movement. And actually, the Unimatic Selita
Is a clone.
Of this movement. So they are pretty the same.
38 hours. I own watches with 38 hours power reserve, and I also own watches with 70 or 80 hours, or more than 70 hours, and I feel it. I really like the more power reserve, and I feel like 38 hours, even though these are standard movements, nowadays I think it's a bit, it's like 42. It's very, when I see that on a watch, I think this is a standard watch.
Yes.
And is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but if I pay, yeah, we'll talk more about this in the price category, but it's on the lower end.
Yes, yes, for
hours.
sure. So if we go for scoring the movement, we start with Unimatic, and my score is 4, because it's a basic movement, as you mentioned, 38 hours power reserve, a very standard, that's why it's 4.
Yeah, and the same for me, it's a 4 for the moment.
And for the Doxa, as the movements are so similar, with the same characteristics, so the same 4 for the Doxa from my side.
Yeah, for me too. So I can have it on my wrist.
Yeah.
And it's a bit too big for my wrist, but if you have a normal wrist to slightly bigger, I think it wears really, really good.
A bit chunky, big watch, because it's a diver, of course.
As to expect, from a 41, 42 millimeter.
Yes, but it's not too big.
And I think it's pretty true to its size. I would say it feels like a Rolex Submariner, or a bit bigger, but pretty true to its size. One of your sales representatives actually told me that it's good to know that lugs can be a bit sharp.
Yes.
I don't feel it, but it's good to know. It's maybe more when you actually use the crown.
Yeah.
It's good to know. And I would say if you have a bigger wrist, the Unimatic watch could maybe look like not a design watch in a bad sense, but it could look very stylish.
Yeah.
And that you can't say with the Doxa. The clasp on the Doxa, you have a diver extension, which is basic, but it works. Which could be nice. I mean, if we disregard diving with it, if you have it in the summer when your wrist often swells up, this could be of use.
For sure, this is something that is a big plus for Doxa for summer. If you are traveling, or you just have a warmer climate, and you don't need to adjust the bracelet, you just open it a bit, and it's very useful and very easy to use. So this is a basic function that Unimatic doesn't have.
So the beads of rice bracelet doesn't taper down at all, down to the clasp. Good to know. One negative though is you have no micro extensions.
Yes.
On the Doxa.
And it will attract attention, even if it will have, on the black plain dial. With yellow one, you will really will see this watch far, but it is standing out, and if it's something that you like, then of course you can go for it as an all-around watch. If you compare to Unimatic, this is completely different story, because you can see this on Unimatic, but it's very discreet watch. It does not pop up on your wrist in the same way.
Yeah. So these two models are pretty hard to score.
Yes,
we think.
I agree, because if you look at them, how you can wear them, for me, I think that maybe Unimatic is little bit easier to wear with different styles, and it's easier because of the case shape and the color and design overall. At the same time, Doxa has some other parts as bracelets and choice of rubber straps, and rubber straps are more nice to have on the wrist because the Unimatic has kind of stiff strap. So for me, Unimatic, I will score 6 for wearability.
So I will give the Unimatic a 6.
Regarding Doxa, it's wearability, and I look at also possibility to wear it every day and how easy it is to style it. So my score is 5. Not because it's worse than Unimatic, only because it's not possible to wear it with every outfit. It's really sporty watch. You can wear it every day for sure if you have a sporty style and you prefer it. But if you want to have some kind of possibility to wear different styles, to have variations in how you use the watch and its look, it's very difficult with Doxa. It will always look very sporty. It really stands out. It's a sporty watch. So even though it has a lot of functions, the water resistance, not mentioning only that, it's 1,200, it's really impressive.
Yeah, more than you need.
Yes, anyway, I will give 5.
So if I'm going to score the Doxa, I must give it a 6. I think these are comparable, but they are also very different. So, but yeah, 6 for Doxa.
The price for Unimatic is 1,500 euro in the rubber strap, but also it's possible to buy this watch with stainless steel bracelet. But if you talk about the value over time, because of its limited edition of 500 pieces, when it's sold out, it's already sold, and it's not possible to obtain it new, so the pre-owned value will still be quite high. In that term, it's possible to have a return on investment at least the same that you have made. Not sure with every Unimatic watch. I'm not sure here because the price is quite high for Unimatic. If you compare to the watches that all the time in production, you have a higher chance to get more of your money back when you buy a limited edition.
1,500 euro, around there. I think it's for the brand, for a diving watch with the specs. I think it's all right.
If you compare this watch to the competitors on the market like Longines Hydro Conquest, Tag Heuer Aquaracer, of course they are more costly than this watch. So price value is quite good. At the same time, this is a micro brand, so it's not that well known. So regarding the price for Doxa is about 2,000 euro, and the difference between if you choose a bracelet or a rubber strap is only 50 euro, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, you should I think almost always with Doxa, I've seen it once before. It was kind of the same price.
Yes.
So then you should choose the steel link if you don't mind
you
having
really
steel
need
link.
to choose a steel bracelet, and if you want then to buy to have it on the rubber strap, you can of course do it, but then it's much cheaper to buy separate rubber strap and the clasp than a new bracelet. Different polishing on the bezel and on the case. 2,000 euro, it's still, I think, a little bit too high for this watch.
What do you think of an standard Oris Equus watch regarding price? Because that's kind of the same price. Do you think that's also too much
Yes,
for that watch?
yes.
Okay, all right. So you think
So
in
I think in
general-
that case, Doxa maybe is more fair to pay 2,000 euro.
I would say if I compare this with an Oryx Aquis or rather Captain Cook, I think all of these are kind of the same price. But with the Doxa, you get the heritage, you get the Doxa brand, which I think have some value. You get the unique watch, you get the helium valve, you get the 1200 meters in water resistance. I think this is good value. Then I don't know the pre-owned prices. Maybe it drops after you buy it. I don't know, but maybe you know more about that. But for what you get for the money, I think it's good. It's not great, but it's a good value for money.
Yes, I agree. It's good value for money, and it's always. This watch is easier to sell pre-owned than Longines Hydro Conquest if you compare, and the same with rather Captain Cook, because this watch people buy because of its characteristics and history, as you mentioned, and it's more of heritage and pedigree than others.
So shall we score them?
Yes.
We begin with the Unimatic.
From me, it gets 5. And you?
I give it a 6.
And regarding Doxa, its price and value, I give 6.
I think I must give this a 6. It's not a great value, but it's a good value. Yeah, I would give the Doxa a 6 also. It's good, it's not great. Doxa was founded in 1889. It has a lot of heritage. Doxa Sub 300T, the original one, came out in 1969 and was called Doxa 300T Conquistador. And it was the first commercial diving watch that featured a helium release valve. So it has these accomplishments and innovative history which Unimatic lack.
Yes.
And Doxa played a big part in the history of the diving watch.
Yes.
Even though they also made dress watches back then. I think the orange dial also was pretty unique and maybe revolutionary back then when Doxa came out with it.
Yes, for sure.
To make it more visible for divers.
Yes. And what is interesting also that this particular model, it restarted the Doxa brand back then in 60s, because before that they produced only classical watches.
Yeah.
First pocket watches, then classical watches. But with this model, in the modern time, they started to be innovative.
They started their journey to become what they are today, a cult company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unimatic is a brand, and this particular watch is something that is designed from scratch. It's not inspired by other brands. And this is why I think it's so cool.
What will you give Unimatic?
My score for Unimatic will be a little bit lower than for Doxa.
That's all right.
And I will give Unimatic as an X factor because of its design and brand value, only 5.
That's a bit hard, but all right. I think I will give the Unimatic regarding X factor a 6. This watch, I would say, even though it's good that they have the index markings, for example, on the bezel, it makes it less Unimatic.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So this watch have less X factor than other models. Not all of the other, but some of the other.
Yeah.
So I will give it a 6. You gave it a 5.
Yes.
I said it was a bit hard. I would actually correct my 6 here and give it also a 5.
Okay.
Because of it looks so much more like a diving watch. Not totally there, but much more than another diving watch from Unimatic. So I will give it a 5 also.
It has less of Unimatic feeling on it because of this bezel.
It has a lot of it, but not as much as I would like.
I will give higher score to Doxa because of its heritage,
Interesting.
because of the part it plays in the watch history, and because I have some also personal attachment to Doxa watch. And regarding Doxa, because of all its heritage and pedigree and all this we were talking about, the X factor for me is 7.
I would not buy this for myself. It's not my cup of tea, even though it's a great watch. I give it a 7 also.
Okay. So we have a winner here, and it's Doxa Sub 300T with 57 points.
So for me, it's not. It's really fun that we got a winner, but I'm not surprised.
Actually, it's really objective and it's really true because of the history and something that you cannot touch. Doxa wins.
And hopefully you liked this episode. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Bye.